What if I told you that an entire lifetime could be lived in a single stroll through the streets of Cheongju, South Korea? Have you ever caught yourself in that strange, almost haunting realization that time is not a straight line at all, but a tangled labyrinth, a maze where the cold shimmer of futuristic bridges carves through the silence of ancient fortresses, and the roar of a metropolis suddenly dissolves into the stillness of temple courtyards? In South Korea, you stop counting the minutes. This is more than just a change of scenery. It's a chance to confront yourself in a place where the past and the future stand frozen, just a heartbeat apart. The only question is, how deep into this labyrinth are you willing to go? Let's find out. Changdeokgung Palace. A sanctuary for kings, built as a symbol of absolute harmony. Unlike other palaces, it does not dominate with symmetry, but humbly follows the contours of the earth. It stands as a monument to Confucian wisdom. A ruler is only truly great when they do not fight nature, but become a part of it. In the secret garden, the spirit of an ancient era still lives, reminding us that true power lies in the ability to contemplate, not just to create. Seoraksan National Park, the snowy mountains, whose peaks have for centuries served as a bridge between earth and sky. In Buddhist tradition, these cliffs are silent teachers, and every ascent here was once likened to a spiritual feat. Seoraksan reminds us of humility. These granite giants have witnessed the rise and fall of empires, remaining steadfast in their dazzling grandeur. Hwaseong Fortress. A stone chronicle of a great reformer, serving as both a shield and a touching monument to filial love for an executed father. It is a triumph of engineering genius, merging the military might of the West with the philosophy of the East. The walls of Hwaseong are proof that great sorrow can be forged into an unbreakable defense for one's people. Daereungwon. The mystical legacy of a golden kingdom that ruled for 1,000 years. These immense mounds hide treasures, but their true wealth lies elsewhere. In the Korean heart, death was never an end, only a transition into another state. This place teaches us that the memory of ancestors can be as vibrant and beautiful as the fresh grass on the slope of a sacred hill. Seoul. a capital where the pulse of the metropolis falters at the walls of the secret garden. Seoul is not merely a city, it is an ocean of untamable energy that shatters against the silent serenity of royal chambers. Here, skyscrapers of glass and steel gaze into the reflections of ancient pagodas, reminding us that true greatness lies not in the speed of change, but in the ability to preserve one's soul amidst the endless race of time. Plum Flower Festival, the first breath of spring, when the riverbanks are veiled in snow-white lace. It is the moment when winter finally surrenders to the onslaught of petals. The scent of blooming plum is the fragrance of hope, reminding us that even after the longest oblivion, life always finds a way to return. Gwangan Bridge, a shimmering thread of steel stitching together the night sky, a massive double-deck colossus that appears weightless in the light of millions of lamps. It is a symbol of a modern nation, bold, technological, and inextricably linked to the ocean, whose waves tirelessly beat against the concrete pillars of this engineering marvel. Geoje and Yeosu Islands, a wild symphony of cliffs and emerald water. The jagged coastline hides quiet bays that for centuries served as refuge for those seeking solitude. Here, Korea reveals its primordial side, a place where the sea wind dictates the rules and nature remains the absolute mistress. Busan is a daring defiance of gravity itself, a port city where the shimmering steel of colossal bridges stands alongside the vibrant, almost chaotic intimacy of coastal neighborhoods. Here, the massive double-deck giant of the Gwangan Bridge stitches the night sky with millions of lights, reflecting in the dark waters of the bay like a portal into a technological tomorrow. Yet, a single step aside leads you into the narrow, tangled labyrinths of Gamcheon village, where time stands still among thousands of colorful houses scattered across steep mountain slopes. It is a place where a nation's fierce industrial triumph suddenly meets the warmth of a human heart, beating in unison with the eternal rhythm of the surf. In Busan, you feel this contrast beneath your skin, the cold brilliance of the future intertwined with a vivid, pulsing history that is never afraid to shine. Janglim Port hidden. Within the industrial folds of the city, The Venice of Korea feels like a vibrant dream frozen at the edge of the sea. Here, the rigid lines of the docks suddenly bloom into a kaleidoscope of colors, transforming a simple harbor into a living canvas where daily toil meets pure art. It is a quiet sanctuary in our labyrinth, reminding us that even amidst the gray concrete, there is always room to paint the world with the colors of your soul. Huinnyeoul White Village whitewashed walls clinging to the steep slopes of the island, reflecting the bright sun while every turn reveals a boundless blue. This is a place where everyday life turns into poetry, and the noise of the metropolis gives way to an infinite horizon. Taejongdae Lighthouse, a lonely sentinel atop a cliff named after a great ruler. Swept by eternal winds, the lighthouse stands where the peninsula breaks into the abyss. It is a point of triumph and the journey's end, a symbol of an unyielding will that shines not only for ships but for history itself. And Namcheondong, our labyrinth of time, is suddenly painted in soft pink as the frantic pace of the metropolis dissolves into clouds of cherry blossoms. For a few fleeting days, ordinary city streets transform into infinite living tunnels, where the sky disappears behind millions of petals swirling in a slow, graceful dance. This moment is a fragile and almost tangible reminder that the most dazzling beauty is always temporary. Amidst this silent bloom, you feel the true pulse of life. Vibrant, unstoppable, and infinitely beautiful precisely because of its transience. Gamcheon Culture Village, a vivid kaleidoscope of life scattered across the mountain slopes. Thousands of colorful houses form a living organism where art dwells in every alleyway. It is a monument to human optimism, having transformed a humble quarter into the most cheerful setting of a great city. In Yangsan, our labyrinth is flooded with dazzling gold. Along the banks of the Yangsan River, where ancient trade routes once led to the sacred Tongdosa Temple, an endless living ocean now unfolds. These fields are a symbol of eternal renewal. They bloom where generations of Koreans have tilled the soil for centuries, turning each season into a triumph of life over oblivion. This is a brilliant flash in our journey, a moment when the modern city retreats before the primal force of nature. Cheongjusan, a purple explosion on the hillsides marking the peak of spring. When the azaleas bloom, it seems as if the mountains themselves are painted in unearthly colors. This brief but dazzling spectacle reminds us that true beauty is always ephemeral and demands our full presence in the current moment. In the Akyang Valley, our labyrinth finds its silent guardians. Here, amidst an emerald ocean of rice paddies, stand two solitary pine trees, known to locals as the husband and wife. Legend says they are the embodiment of a love that defies the centuries, a symbol of devotion that took root in the soil of Gyeongsangnam-do hundreds of years ago. Nakan Eupseong Village, a fragment of time preserved through the centuries. This is not a museum, but a living village where people still dwell in houses with thatched roofs. In the age of pirate raids, this fortress was the only chance for survival. It is a hymn to the everyday, which proved stronger than wars and technical progress. Dongbaekseom. Where Haeundae Beach ends, our labyrinth fades into the shadows of Dongbaekseom's ancient pines. This is a living bridge between the skyscrapers of the future and Busan's mystical past. By the rocks stands the statue of a mermaid, Princess Hwangok, who has spent centuries yearning for her homeland across the sea. Here, the city's hum yields to the roar of the surf. We have walked through this labyrinth and witnessed how thousands of years of history can fit into a single moment. Now you know the answer. South Korea is not what you see with your eyes. It is what you begin to feel when you finally stop running. It turns out that portals to other worlds aren't hidden in books. They are here, among the whispering pines of Seoraksan and in the reflections of the Gwangan Bridge. The labyrinth of time wasn't meant to lose you. It was meant to help you finally pause and hear your own voice. And when the boundaries between yesterday and tomorrow blur, you realize that true eternity has been within you all along. If you wish to discover more places where time loses its grip, subscribe and let's find them together. I found my answer in this silence. But what did you see when time finally stood still?